Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Bethany if you're new here, and I make faith and lifestyle content. I just got married about a month ago, and yeah, so that's a little bit about me. Today I am doing a long-awaited top 10 tips for wedding planning. These videos I searched so much when I was first starting to plan my wedding, when I first got engaged, and I found a couple of these tips I actually found through other videos, but most of them just from like wedding planning and things like that. I came to find out that these tips were very helpful. So I'm very excited about this video. I actually did a whole video all about my wedding, specifically like wedding details, from bridesmaids dresses, guest book, decor, all that stuff, where everything is from. I will link that video below and up here if you want to watch it. But now I'm going to tell you some tips about wedding planning. So the very first tip immediately when you get engaged is to make a wedding email. This is going to change your life and help you so much. So I specifically made one with our wedding hashtag. So just made an email specifically for the wedding. So whenever you have vendors or anything like that, you give them that email. So everything wedding related goes to that email, so it doesn't get all jumbled up with your other emails. So I knew like, oh, I don't know when the florist, like when this is due or whatever, I go to the email and I can find it. So next, after you make the email, what you want to do is make labels. So on Gmail, you're able to create labels, and then you can file emails under all the labels. So I'll have like a little screen recording on the screen to show you how to do this. But basically what you do is make a label with whatever your vendor is and just make a ton of them. So I have like dress, tux, bridesmaids, honeymoon, venue, florist, videographer, all that stuff. You make labels for all of them, and then you can pick the color that they are. And so every time you get an email, you can move the florist email to the florist folder or like label. You can find that email in that label. So that made my life so much easier. I'm pretty sure, to give credit where it's due, I'm pretty sure it was Allison Bickerstaff in her wedding tips video from a couple of years ago. I think that's how I found out that tip, and it helped me so much. It made things so much easier, so much more organized. And the next tip is kind of continuing on keeping you organized, and that's to make a binder with a checklist of every vendor that you need. So like a budget, like a sheet of paper, you can get these printed off from like Pinterest, all that stuff. Print off a budget and like write down how much you think everything's going to cost, and then you're able to write down everything that how much it ends up costing. And then on the back of that piece of paper, this is what I did. I wrote this vendor, when it's due, like each payment when it's due, how much it is, and what form of payment they take, because some people take credit cards, some people take cash, some people take Venmo. So you just want to write that down. So I did that on the back of that sheet, and then we just had a whole binder full of all the information, like any receipts that we might have printed out, checklist, payments, the wedding dress receipts, all that stuff in that binder. So it just made things easier. We knew everything that we were looking for wedding related was in that binder. Choose your top 3 vendors. So weddings are expensive and there's a lot of vendors, but I would recommend choosing the top 3 that you want to spend the most money on, and then the other stuff doesn't matter as much. So for me, it was my venue and my photographer. Those are the 2 that I cared the most about and was willing to spend the most money on. But for you, it might be the florist, the caterer, food might be important to you. It wasn't to me, but it might be for you. Just pick the top 3 vendors, and kind of everything else can be cheaper, but you just want to pick 3. For me, it was 2, but you just want to pick 3 that you're willing to spend more money on. Next thing is focus on the big things, but pick out some of the details that you do care about. So for me, I really wanted a hanger that said Mrs. Corbett. Like I knew in the detail shots, there were specific things I wanted pictures of, so I was willing to spend like maybe a little bit more money, like just random money that's not going to vendors, on like a wedding hanger. But then on the other end, centerpieces for the reception, I didn't really care that much about, so it didn't matter to me. So I would recommend focusing on like the bigger things, the bigger vendors, and less on the details. The details you're not gonna remember, but if there's some things you want pictures of, I would recommend getting that. Or like, if you know, like getting ready photos, you wanna have a cute robe, like I recommend getting the cute robe, but then you can like spend less money on like the centerpieces or like signs or something like that you don't really care about. So also, I knew for my ceremony, I wanted an arbor, a copper arbor. So I was willing to spend more money on the arbor, or to get my dad to make it, because I wanted that. And obviously it's gonna be in the photos, it's gonna be at the venue. But like centerpieces for the reception, I didn't care about that. So the next thing is make signs yourself if you can. And I don't mean doing like calligraphy and stuff like that. I did them on Photoshop, but you can easily go on like Canva or anything like that and just make signs and then get them printed and get some cheap frames at Walmart, and you're able to make just a cheap sign. The only sign we actually bought was the welcome sign, and it was relatively cheap, but all the other signs I just made on Photoshop. So I recommend things like that if you can. Like, don't go overboard on the DIYs. I think the signs are the only thing I made, but if you can make signs, if you can, like, Canva has tons of templates. You can just search it up and like type it out and print it, and it's gonna make it a lot easier than trying to like spend a ton of money on Etsy. But again, like, if you go back to the details you want, there's specific things you want, and you want like a painted sign, like if that's worth it to you, I would recommend doing it. Looking back on it, I would want to, like, even if I spent more money on something but I knew I wanted it and I wanted it in the photos, or I wanted it at the wedding, like, I would be happy that I spent the money on it, as long as I know I wanted it. Like, don't spend money on details or time on details that you don't really care about. So the next thing, number 7, is order everything as early as possible, because if you watch my wedding details video, most things, or like at least like half maybe of the things I got off Etsy. And if you're getting things personalized, they take longer, and things on Etsy normally take longer. So like, if you're waiting like a month before the wedding, like, I wouldn't recommend doing that. Like, for me, I got married in April, and in January I was like ordering everything off Etsy, like gifts, my robe, things like that I knew I wanted for the wedding, and I didn't want them to like get on back order or just take a long time. I would recommend ordering as early as possible, because it's better to have them sitting in your closet or sitting in your room and have them than them not come in time. Number 8 is use thenot.com. I made a wedding website on The Knot, and it was just so easy. I made things so simple. It has all the details on it. People can go to it to see the date and all that stuff. You can also do your registry on there. And going along to the registry, you can register online at The Knot, but I also recommend Target and Amazon. You can do that both online. Like, there's a Target app for the registry, and it just makes things easier. So I recommend doing that. Along with The Knot, I recommend doing RSVP Online. Not mailing out RSVPs. People don't really RSVP anyways, so doing the RSVP Online makes it easier. And also going through your list and really just looking like, who do we know is going to come to the wedding and who probably won't? Like, you kind of know in that situation once it gets to that point, because most people just really don't RSVP. So like, I would get people to RSVP online, but then I would be like, okay, let's look through the list and be like, does this person usually come? Does this person usually, like, would they come? You know, like a distant relative that doesn't live in your state probably won't come, especially with COVID. So, and then the last thing is to enjoy it. Engagement is such a special season, and don't fight with your significant other or your fiance during the engagement, because it's such a special time and it flies. Like, literally, once you get to a couple months, like, it literally flies by. It's crazy. It's crazy that it's been a month since I got married. I feel like since I ordered everything online, I kept myself organized. I enjoyed the engagement season. I enjoyed the wedding planning season, and it wasn't stressful for me. I actually had a great time. It was a lot of fun, and everything turned out how I wanted it, but also I feel like I'm pretty chill. Like, a lot of things I didn't really care about, so I was like, it's okay. Like, I knew the wedding day was gonna be great because I was marrying my husband, but there were obviously things that I wanted out of my wedding day, because, you know, I've been thinking about it for a long time. So I was like a little girl. I would also say, this is like a random side tip, pick people in your bridal party that are reliable. I knew every time, like, I would say, hey, this is the bridesmaid dress I want, blah, blah, blah. Like, literally within the day, like, they were buying the dresses, and it just made Rosie's moving. So the table's moving. So I knew that they were getting the dresses on time, they were getting organized, and they were always asking me if they could help. So I would really just recommend picking people in your bridal party that you know are reliable, that you know you can count on, that you know care about you and are willing to help you if you need it. So literally, said I was done, I'm not. Last tip, I think, is get a day of coordinator. If you don't get a wedding planner, you should get a day of coordinator, because it's gonna make your life so much easier, and you don't want to have you stressing on your wedding day. My day of coordinator, I didn't even know where she was half the time, but she was just making things happen, and she made our life so much easier. So I definitely recommend doing that. Picking your vendors, but also getting a day of coordinator. I think that's very important. So I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. I know when I was first engaged, these videos helped me a lot. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to subscribe. Make faith lifestyle content. You can follow me on Instagram. I've been posting like wedding photos and stuff there. If you want to see more wedding photos, you can look over there. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in a new one very soon. Bye.